There's something I've noticed over the years, something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. A lot of older gentlemen walk through life completely unaware of just how much charm, presence, and yes, attractiveness they still carry. Maybe you've caught a smile from someone across the room and thought, oh, that couldn't possibly be for me. Or maybe you've brushed off a compliment, assuming it was just politeness. But what if I told you that the signs are there, clear as day, if you just know where to look? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Because attractiveness isn't just for the young, it's something that evolves, deepens, and often becomes even more compelling with age. And whether you realize it or not, there are little moments, little reactions from the people around you that prove it. So let's dive into the first few signs that you're an attractive older man, even if you don't quite see it yet. The first sign? People lean in when you talk. Now, think about this for a second. Have you ever noticed that when you're telling a story or sharing your thoughts, the people around you tend to get a little closer? Maybe they tilt their head toward you, or their eyes stay locked on yours a little longer than usual. That's not just good manners, that's magnetism. It means you've got a presence that draws people in. Maybe it's the wisdom in your words, the warmth in your voice, or the confidence that comes from decades of experience. Whatever it is, people are drawn to it. They want to hear what you have to say. And that, my friend, is a quiet but powerful sign of attractiveness. Here's another one. You get compliments on things you don't expect. Sure, someone might say they like your shirt or your haircut, but have you ever been told you have a great laugh? Or that you light up a room when you walk in? Those aren't just polite comments. Those are the kinds of compliments people give when they're genuinely affected by you, not just your clothes or your appearance, but the energy you bring. Maybe it's your sense of humor, your kindness, or the way you make people feel at ease. Those little, unexpected compliments? They're clues. And then there's this: younger people seek your advice. Now, this one's interesting, isn't it? When someone decades younger comes to you for guidance, whether it's about career, relationships, or just life in general, it's not just because you've been around longer. It's because there's something about you that feels trustworthy, approachable, and yes, appealing in a way that goes beyond surface-level charm. They see in you what you might not always see in yourself, a man who's lived, learned, and has something valuable to offer. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I don't feel attractive. And that's okay. The truth is, a lot of men, especially as they get older, don't recognize their own appeal because they're comparing themselves to a younger version of themselves or to some Hollywood ideal. But real attractiveness isn't about looking like you're 30 again. It's about the way you carry yourself, the way you engage with the world, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are. And here's the thing, these signs we've talked about so far, they're just the beginning. Because there's so much more to uncover about what makes an older man truly attractive, and I've got a feeling you're going to recognize a few more of these in yourself as we keep going. So let's move forward and talk about the next few signs, because chances are, you've been overlooking them for far too long. One of the most fascinating things about getting older is how our perspective shifts. What we once thought was important starts to fade, and what truly matters begins to shine through. And that's exactly where real attractiveness comes into play. Because when you're young, it's easy to mistake attractiveness for just a sharp jawline or a full head of hair. But as the years go by, it becomes something deeper, something more compelling. And the funny thing is, the people around you notice it long before you do. So let's talk about the next sign that you're an attractive older man. People remember the little things you say. Have you ever had someone bring up a passing comment you made weeks or even months ago? Maybe it was a piece of advice you gave, a story you shared, or even just an offhand observation. And yet, there it is, sticking in their mind as if it mattered. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you've got a way of leaving an impression, of saying things that resonate. Whether it's your insight, your humor, or just the way you see the world, people hold onto your words. And that's a quiet but undeniable sign that you've got something special. Here's another one: strangers open up to you. Now, think about this. Have you ever been sitting on a park bench or waiting in line somewhere, and out of nowhere, someone starts telling you about their life? Maybe it's a younger person sharing their worries, or someone your age reminiscing about the past. It's like they see in you a kind of safety, a comfort that makes them want to share. That's not just friendliness, that's charisma. There's a warmth about you that puts people at ease, and whether you realize it or not, that's one of the most attractive qualities a man can have at any age. And then there's this, you still get those playful glances. Now, I know some of you might brush this off, oh, they're just being polite, but let's be honest here. Attraction doesn't retire after 60. If you catch someone looking your way, maybe holding eye contact a beat longer than necessary, or smiling in a way that feels a little more than friendly, that's not just a coincidence. It's a signal. Maybe it's your confidence, your energy, or just the way you carry yourself, but the truth is, you're still turning heads, you just might not be noticing it. Now, here's something important to remember, attractiveness isn't about trying to impress anyone. In fact, the moment you stop worrying about it is often the moment it shines the brightest. That's why so many older men don't realize just how much appeal they still have. They're not trying to prove anything anymore. They're just being, and that authenticity? That's magnetic. So if you've ever doubted whether you've still got it, let me tell you, these signs don't lie. People don't lean in, remember your words, or open up to you unless there's something about you that draws them in. And the best part? We're just getting started. Because there are a few more signs that might just make you see yourself in a whole new light. So let's keep going, because the most compelling ones might still be ahead. You know, one of life's great ironies is that the older we get, the more we seem to downplay our own appeal, while the rest of the world sees it plain as day. Maybe it's because we've spent decades being our own harshest critics, or maybe society has conditioned us to believe attractiveness has an expiration date. But here's the truth, real magnetism isn't something you lose with age. If anything, it ripens. And the final signs we're about to discuss? They're the ones that prove just how undeniable your charm really is. Let's start with this, you're the one people want at the party. Not just as a guest, but as the person who brings the energy, the stories, the laughter. Ever notice how conversations tend to spark when you walk into a room? Or how friends light up when you join their table? That's not just social nicety, that's your presence doing the talking. People gravitate toward you because you've got that rare mix of ease and substance. You're not trying to be the center of attention, you just are, naturally. And that effortless charisma? That's the hallmark of an attractive man at any age. Here's another unmistakable sign, you've been called young at heart more times than you can count. And it's not just a polite way of saying you don't act your age. It's because you've held onto something priceless, curiosity. Maybe it's the way you still get excited about new ideas, or how you engage with people of all generations without missing a beat. That spark of enthusiasm is contagious, and it's one of the most attractive qualities a person can have. Because let's face it, nothing is more magnetic than someone who genuinely enjoys life. And finally, the most telling sign of all, people miss you when you're not around. Think about it. When you skip your usual coffee meetup or can't make a family gathering, do people notice? Do they call or message to say they wished you'd been there? That's not just about being liked, it's about being valued. Your absence leaves a space that isn't easily filled, because what you bring to the table, your humor, your perspective, your quiet reliability, is irreplaceable. And that, more than any compliment or glance, is the ultimate proof that you're someone who matters deeply to others. Now, I know some of you might still be thinking, but I don't see myself this way. And that's exactly why I made this video. Because sometimes it takes someone pointing out the obvious before we can see it for ourselves. The way people respond to you, the way they seek you out, the way they remember you, none of that happens by accident. You've spent a lifetime becoming the man you are today, and that man? He's got presence. He's got charm. He's attractive, not in spite of his age, but because of it. So the next time you catch someone smiling your way, or a friend leans in to hear your story, or a stranger shares something personal with you, don't brush it off. Recognize it for what it is, proof that you've got something special. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's this, your appeal isn't fading. It's evolving. And from where the rest of us are standing, it looks better than ever. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed any of these signs in your own life? Maybe you've got a story about a moment that made you realize, hey, I've still got it. Share it in the comments below, because I've got a feeling your experiences will inspire others. And if this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more conversations like this one. After all, life's too short to underestimate yourself, especially when the world sees you so clearly. Here's to owning your charm at every age. Thanks for watching, gentlemen. See you next time.